Good evening, viewers. This is the 7 p.m. newscast on Reflet Africa Television. Here follows the headlines. The African Football Confederation has retained 3 Cameroonian referees, in which a woman who will officiate these competitions scheduled from January 16 to February 7, 2021, international commemoration of the World AIDS Day today, December 1st. Cameroon's HIV and AIDS prevalence rate on the rise. Details will be given in this newscast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all for the headlines. Good evening once more. As we announced earlier in the headlines, the African Football Confederation has just published the list of referees who will officiate at this competition scheduled for Cameroon from January 16 to February 7, 2021 as part of the next CAN, the African Nations Championship reserved for local footballers. Cameroon will not only be represented by its team A prime team, the country will also have whistle men as ambassadors. The African Football Confederation has just published the list of referees selected for this competition, initially scheduled for last April but postponed to January 16 to February 7, 2021 due to the health crisis caused by the COVID-19. Among the lucky ones were 3 Cameroonians, including a woman in the person of Karine Atezambong Fomo. The 36-year-old assistant referee is the only one currently officiating in the Cameroon Men's Elite Championship. She is living a real consecration since just a few days ago she was shortlisted by FIFA for the 2023 Women's World Cup. Besides Karine Atezambong, we find the central Alium Sidi and assistant Elvis Nupwe. Their presence is not surprising, however, since they are used to major competitions. Both officiated during CAN 2019 in Egypt and more recently during the CAF Cup final. December 1st is celebrated the World HIV and AIDS Day. Cameroon's HIV and AIDS prevalence rate on the rise. This rate fell from 2.7% to 3.1% in 2 years in our country. The Minister of Public Health represented the update figures of the disease in Cameroon. Reports by Promise Fosu.
The international community commemorates this December 1st, 2020, the World Day Against HIV/AIDS under the theme, Global Solidarity and Shared Responsibility. On this occasion, the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manaoda Malashi, gave a press conference this Tuesday in Yaoundé, during which he presented the updated figures of the disease in Cameroon. According to data from the National Committee for the Fight Against HIV/AIDS, Cameroon recorded 37,435 new HIV and AIDS infections in the first quarter of 2020. This brings the prevalence rate of the disease to 3.1% against 2.7% in 2018. This rate is higher in certain regions, notably the South with 5.9% and the Center with 4.1%. Experts attribute the increased prevalence to several factors, starting with the risky behavior of certain people. The disease continues to wreak havoc because there are people who still continue to infect themselves despite preventing programs. There are people who continue to be infected without treatment, and there are people who develop complications, sometimes leading to death, explained Dr. Alain Patrice Melezi, doctor on duty at the General Hospital of Douala. Added to this is the health crisis due to COVID-19, which has caused a drop in the hospital attendance, but also the break observed for a time of antiretrovirals. Experts advise raising awareness, especially among people from vulnerable social strata, especially with the young population.
The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, has visited the scene of the November 28th Gidel fire incident in the North region during his 3 days working visit in the area. While extending his condolences and that of the head of state, President Paul Biya, Minister Atanganji told the bereaved family that investigations are being opened to determine the source of the fire. It is noted that unconsolable friends and family blame a mosquito mosquito coil that was ablaze in the room, and others blame poor electrical connection as the source of the fire is yet unknown. The bodies of 13 people who died in the incident at Carrefour Sodecoton in Guidé, North region of Cameroon on November 28 have been laid to rest. Aged between 2 to 38, the victims of the unfortunate situation was roasted to death in their sleep at about 1 a.m. One victim survived the flames, but however with serious injuries after he succeeded in escaping through the ceiling and is receiving medical attention in the hospital. Before members of the Finance Budget Assembly, the Minister of Defense presented the MINDEF budget, which shows an increase of 15 billion francs CFA as compared to that of 2020. Once more, Promise Fosso has the details.
The Minister of Defense, Joseph Beti Asomo, defended his budget before the Finance and Budget Committee of the National Assembly on November 28, 2020, with a focus on 4 points, including the reminder of the strategic synthesis of the Ministry of Defense, the report of the activities of the ministry, the socio-economic context and security of the preparation of the 2021 budget, and the perspective of the action envisaged in 2021, as well as the budget allocation proposals. For the last point, the budget specifies the Ministry of Defense is requesting 239.913 billion francs CFA in operating expenses and 6 billion francs CFA for investment. In 2021, MINDEF's total budget stood at 230.257 billion francs CFA. With this envelope, which has seen an increase of nearly 15 billion francs CFA, it will be a question beyond the sovereign mission and the operational commitment in progress of implementing certain actions, including a reflection aimed at integrating economic patriotism into the ordering of military equipment, the establishment of the statistical system, the continuation of actions to combat COVID-19, and the acquisition of equipment for military hospitals, support for other administrations within the framework of the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Program. There is also talk of the continued densification of the presence of the police in the territory, the start of studies for the construction of military hospitals in Maroua and Bamenda, the continued construction of the battalions of the Headquarters Brigade. Thus, the budget for the Ministry of Defense continues to increase despite heavy government spending to eradicate the coronavirus pandemic. On November 28, Minister Laurent Sech Etudingoa defended the budget of the basic education sector, which stood at 232.7 billion francs CFA, and the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, Georges Elanga Obam, did same with a 46 billion budget. Yesterday, November 30, 2020, was the turn of the Minister of Environment and the Protection of Nature, Hele Pierre, who defended the budget of 6 billion francs CFA. Public Works boss Ganun Jumesi defended a 464 billion francs CFA total budget, with 306 billion francs CFA for investment and 58 billion francs for functioning. It is noted that during the tabling of the general budget of the 2021 fiscal year by the Prime Minister and Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Dion Gute, on November 25, 2020, a proposal of 4,865 billion francs CFA was recorded.
Yaoundé-Douala Highway, the delivery of the first 60 kilometers, that is phase 1, postponed to 2021. This declaration was made by the Prime Minister on the occasion of the presentation to the National Assembly of the government's economic, financial, social and cultural program for the fiscal year 2021. Details in this report. The information was recently given by the Minister on the occasion of the presentation of the National Assembly of the Government's Economic, Financial, Social and Cultural Program for the fiscal year 2021. In presenting this document to the deputies on November 25, 2020, the head of government, Joseph Dion Gute, declared in the public works sector, several road and motorways projects have made significant progress. The Yaoundé-Douala motorway phase 1, with a linear length of 60 kilometers, is 91% completed. The first 40 kilometers are fully asphaltated, while the last 20 are completed at 65%. The delivery is scheduled for 2021. However, in its Administrative Performance Project for fiscal year 2020 published at the beginning of the year, the Minister of Public Works announced the delivery of the first phase of work for December 31, 2020. The observed deployment of the China Highway Engineering Company editor's note from PK40 to PK60 of Phase 1 of the highway bodes well for the delivery scheduled for this year. Of the 36 structures to be built on this section, only 6 remain, that is 80%. The excavation and backfill progress rates at 40% and 46% respectively, the minister explained. Work on the first phase of the Yaoundé-Douala motorway, 215 kilometers, was launched in 2014 at an estimated cost of 285 billion francs CFA. But recently, the Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Nganou Djoumessi, initiated a plea for obtaining an additional envelope of nearly 85 billion francs CFA. Money, part of which 45 billion francs CFA, should be used to connect the first section of the motorway to the road network, and the other 40 billion francs CFA to finance works not taken into account, charged in the initial amount of the contract. Today, December 1, marks the 30th anniversary of Idriss Déby's rule over Chad. Coming to power after a coup against Hissène Habré, Déby quickly retired his army uniform to become a politician. In 2016, Habré was convicted for war crimes by a specially created international tribunal in Senegal. Governing a country located in a chronically unstable region, the 68-year-old leader has exhibited spectacular resilience, surviving coup, rebels attack, and foreign invasions, using his powerful Zangawa tribe and the loyal support of his ruling Patriotic Salvation Movement party. Déby has managed to survive Central Africa's complex geopolitics, where tribes and militias control resources such as water, land, and minerals. He's been accused of running a one-party state, even though questionable elections have been held from time to time. It is on this note that we draw our contest, dear televiewers. Thanks for watching till the end. See you tomorrow, same time.